Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 78 of this awesome, amazing Osu Let's Play series. In the last episode, I told the tale of a tournament team named Rubber Conquest. And in this episode, I want to sort of give my thoughts on comparison in this game, comparing yourself to other players, things like that. But before we get into that, I'd like to shout out, as usual, that I live stream every single day over at twitch.tv. So that will be linked in the description. But if you want to hang out with me live or watch me play this game live or ask me questions, anything like that, please stop by, say hello. And also, bonus points if you tell me that you came from this Let's Play series. I will be very happy to see you there. So, yes, comparison. I think in a game like Osu that is very community-oriented and I guess score, sort of naturally, I think when you are playing this game, you're sort of naturally competing against other players, right? So I think it's only fair that people sort of naturally compare themselves to one another. But I don't know, let me just preface by saying that I think comparing yourself to other players is not very good, not very healthy for, I guess, long-term, what is it? I don't know, satisfaction out of the game? Well, okay, let me think. So, comparing yourself to other players can be a really good source of motivation for, getting better. And I think it's very common, especially, okay, actually, there's a difference between constantly comparing yourself to someone and having someone as an inspiration or a friendly rival or something like that. I think when you're new to an activity, it really helps to have someone learning alongside you, and even having them as a sort of friendly rival to always try to be better than to some extent, or have them sort of push you to improve. But if it gets to the point of feeling like you're always comparing yourself to them and you're whatever you do is not impressive unless it's also better than that other person, I think that sort of crosses the line of comparison to where it's, I don't know, no longer just being used as a healthy motivation. I think it's at that point becoming, I don't know, sort of like this toxic cycle to some extent. So yeah, although, yeah, like I said, I think comparison can also be really good. I think another reason why people compare themselves to others is as a sort of progress check, like using the sort of friendly rival thing as an example. Then let's say you have a friend who's always a little better than you, but if you're starting to notice that you're able to consistently beat their scores or do all the scores that they think are impressive for them, then that can be a bit of a positive feeling, like, oh wow, I'm actually getting better at this game because I am doing better relative to this other person that used to be better than me. And that's a fair way to, check your progress. Obviously, I'm not discrediting that because I think it's very valid. But ultimately, I think your satisfaction, I mean, I don't really know who needs to hear this, but your satisfaction with your accomplishments should come from your, I don't know, I guess from within you and what is impressive by your own standards and not what is impressive relative to, how other people perform. I think if your main source of motivation comes from always being better than other people, or let me think. If your main source of satisfaction comes from just being better than other people, then I think I don't know, it leads to a very toxic and negative cycle at times where I think it's very easy to feel discouraged when you feel like there's other people better than you and you don't know what to do about it. So I think, the storyboard goes kind of hard actually. This map. I think, okay, another thing about comparison is that I think when you're stuck in this sort of comparison loop, you tend to look at the numbers a lot because that's usually the way that you compare people to each other, right? Is through objectifiable statistics, numbers, things like that. Like in school, you compare yourself to others based on test scores, right? And I think measuring your satisfaction with your accomplishments by objective measures or okay, I guess in simpler terms, if you just always look at the numbers, then it can be really draining, I think, to feel some sense of accomplishment with everything you do. I think like a very common example, or an easy to understand example, is like, let's say you've always been very bad at math. Like you always get very good grades on other exams except for math. You always fail. And then one day you get like an 80% on math when you'd usually always fail. Although other classes, you know, if you got an 80%, you would feel really disappointed. But because it's math, just the context is what really makes a big difference, you know? And you're like, little wins, right? And that's not really... I think the only healthy comparison you can have is to your previous self. Comparing yourself to your old self and just always trying to be better than you were before. I think that is the sort of comparison that people find to be, you know, actually healthy and able to maintain, I don't know, like longevity of mental fortitude, of, I don't know, mental satisfaction, I guess, with like playing this game, things like that. All right, let's see. I'll play one more map, I think. Yeah. Actually, one map, two more maps? Oh my gosh. Let's see. So, in the world of Osu, I think... Yeah, so Osu is one of those games more so than anything else where I think comparison is very, very natural. It's in pretty much every crevice of this game. Every map has a leaderboard and your score is being compared to each other in multiplayer lobbies. Not only, obviously, are your scores getting compared to other players, but your solo rank is just right there. Like, it's just right there for everyone to see. Actually, I think on Osu Laser, it's not, which is very cool. I like that change because I think as soon as people start thinking too much about numbers, I think that's when some of the, genuine enjoyment out of just doing the activity for the sake of it sort of gets lost. And it becomes, I'm only going to be satisfied if I beat X player or I'm better than X player. And yeah, I mean, it's only natural, right? But another thing about Osu in comparison to other players is that, like, you could be really good. Okay, how do I put this? You could be so much better than one of your friends at a certain skill, but then they could be so much better than you at another skill. And it's sometimes hard to objectify. Actually, it's usually always hard to objectify who's really a quote-unquote better, like, more skilled person at any activity, not really just Osu. But there could be, and some people are effectively at the same skill level, but they use entirely different play styles. And so who's really the quote-unquote better player, right? And I think that sort of comes down to subjective interpretation of, like, which playstyle you think is more difficult. But once you get to, like, comparing that stuff, then that's not really comparison anymore, I feel like. Or not in the sort of objective sense. So, yeah, let's see. Hey, in other news, guys, unrelated, but I have been doing interviews this week over at Osu University on the topic of motivation. So I've done 3 interviews so far, one with Xerius, one with Momo HD and Wobblewolf. And then tomorrow I'm doing one with Miss Magius, and then on Friday doing one with Doomsday. So stacked lineup, let's go. Super exciting. If you guys have not joined Osu University before, I'd recommend it. And okay, so on the topic of Osu University, okay, so Osu University has these, like, chat roles where you can, like, give yourself a color based on, like, what rank you are, and it's mostly just to keep track of I don't know, like, experience level to some extent. I was just trying to think of how to put that. Like, when you're talking to someone, it just sort of helps to have a frame of reference, like who exactly you're talking to. But I think that naturally does lead to comparison. And there's also this idea that, like, it is just a really human tendency to compare yourself to others, especially in, like, a social standing, like, sense. and sort of ascribe yourself as being either above or below someone when you talk to them. I think it's just very, very natural. There's been like some studies about that, things like that. So definitely, like it's not like I want you to feel like, oh shoot, I'm being so called out in this video. I'm so guilty of comparing myself to others, and I should be so ashamed. Not really like that, because it is very, very natural to compare yourself to others. Spinner. Oh, so wholesome. But yeah, my point is, I mean, there's a lot of work, I guess, that can be done, or like a lot to improve on in the realm of, I don't know, the whole mental side of really not just Osu, but just mindset in general. No, I missed. Okay. Yeah, I think sort of breaking that natural tendency of comparing yourself to others is actually really, really powerful in, I don't know, just having more fulfilling experiences with the things that you do. And let me think. Yeah, it can also help you break barriers to some extent, like mental barriers. If you are always comparing yourself to, you know, others, and you feel sort of below like someone else, or like you're comparing yourself to some other player, and you're like, oh, I know for a fact that I'm worse than this player and they have a score on this map, there's no way I can do it. And like putting mental barriers on yourself like that can be really, I think, detrimental to, yeah, does that kind of make sense? It can just be detrimental to your like capabilities as a player, I guess, or your maximum potential, so to speak. What? This is area. Oh shoot, I click on them and oh shoot. I want to see their avatar. Okay, wait, click on this like this. 2 millimeters by 5 millimeters. What is this tablet area? Let's go. What? That's very interesting. All right, anyway. Let's see. Sorry, let's play one more map, I think. This one more map sounds good. Thinger. Awesome little song. But yeah, bottom line, I think it's healthy to compare yourself to others, but only to a certain extent. I don't think your satisfaction and enjoyment out of what you do should be solely from like comparison to other players. And I think especially to players who are relatively new, I think it's a good idea to try not to compare yourself to also like the quote-unquote general trends of this game, so to speak. Because a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I'm ranked 200,000 and I have like X playtime, like, play hours. Like, is that good? Is this good progress compared to, you know, the general community or like general improvement? Fun fact, by the way, there's no statistics about general improvement, so it's really hard to say. But I will say that if you just compare yourself to your previous self, compare yourself only to your own self. And I think if you play the game that way, it is a lot easier to just sort of keep looking forward and always see how you can get better, rather than worrying about if you are doing better than other people. So it's the healthiest of mindsets come from within. OMG. But I think that is just about to do it for this episode. I want to give a shout out to everyone who watches all these videos, by the way. If you have been like watching all these videos, these Let's Play episodes, then you are just a real one, okay? That is just incredible. Yes, I appreciate all of you who watch these videos, and if you have suggestions for future topics, please leave them in the comment section, because I do read all the comments on these videos. And if you are watching in the future, if you would like to check out my channel, watch my other videos, I have many videos available on my channel, and I also upload every day, so much to explore. But yes, with that, also catch me live if you would like to hang out with me live. I'd be very happy to hang out with you all. But with that, I'll see you guys next time.